If you've been looking forward to another Bloodborne Souls-like game, this is definitely going to be a game for you. I 100% recommend you go download the demo right now so you can get a taste of it for yourself. I will throw out the disclaimer that I am hot garbage at these games, so be kind to the background images. But other than that, we're going to get into it, and that is Lies of P. Now, while we don't have a ton out in regards to the storyline, there was a whole lot of information in this really nice demo that they provided. I have to say, I got several hours out of it, just playing around, doing a lot of stupid stuff. And while the story for me is kind of important, the mechanics I feel like are always much more important in regards to Souls-like games, and definitely got a good taste for everything to come. So we'll just start out with the story just to get it through. From this little tidbit, we know that we are Pinocchio, and I'm sure everybody that has any idea about this game knows that you are. And once you wake up, you're gonna kind of hear this voice, basically. And it's telling you to meet them at this hotel. You're not exactly sure why, but you make your way along. It gives you a little bit of a tutorial, tells you how to move, equip weapons, stuff like that. And I played with mouse and keyboard, another reason why I failed miserably. But it lets you know kind of the general scheme of your abilities. You get to choose from weapons. There's a couple different weapon types. You'll find blunt, slash, stab, things of that nature in this game and in the demo, so it's nice to get to really try out all types of weapons. I'm hoping there's going to be some range, but I did not find any personally. And as you make your way to this voice, you will meet this woman named Sophia. Sophia is going to be who you talk to when you want to level up. There is a Souls-like system that we'll get into later. And after you meet Sophia, before you're going to have to fight a boss, you'll go through town, you'll find out that there's something called the puppet frenzy going on. And I would assume it just has to do with all these puppets that are kind of taking over. It seems like a lot of the districts that used to have people living in them are now overran with puppets that are just trying to smack you in the face with anything along the lines of chimney sweeps, candelabras, swords. You get it. They pick something up, they're going to smack you with it. And there's a lot of different types of mobs in this little demo, which is really nice to see. You have some light mobs, you have some dogs, quick mobs of that nature, heavier mobs, and elites. So that was really nice. And as you make your way through town, you will end up looking for Geppetto. You'll find him after doing a nice little boss fight, and then you'll make your way to Town Hall and do another boss fight there. If you guys are looking for particular videos on those boss fights, definitely go check out several of the videos that are online that have, like no damage things that I could never possibly do. Otherwise, there'll be some in the background a little bit here. Moving on to the world, as you can see, it is absolutely beautiful. While, companies can get around this using little slices of the game that they've really focused on, making it look really good, and then the end product not exactly looking at like this exactly. I have to say that the ambiance and the world itself feels fantastic. Everything kind of just looks really well put. There's a lot of information on kind of the state of the world that you're in all around you. You can kind of look at the walls, look at all the dead puppets all over the place, and kind of get a general understanding of what's going on. And then you'll also see these like bastions where humans are that don't have access basically to, because puppets aren't allowed there. And theoretically, under this fourth commandment of the puppet law, puppets are not allowed to lie. And so that is, I believe, going to be one of the key features in this game. But we'll get into that, into the mechanics, basically, which we will get into right now. Now, in regards to the lying, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be a giant feature in the game. There's only one instance where you're basically told to lie. And I think that is exactly what makes Pinocchio special in this world, is that he is one of the few puppets that is able to lie. And I also feel like there's probably a lot more going on there with, like, he can feel, and he's a real boy, all those good motives that, from Pinocchio. But him being able to lie was something that you had to actively choose to do. I'm not sure what would happen if you chose the other option, but you basically tell them that you are human, and this allows you into a lot of areas where you're not able to go. However, there are a lot of people that seem to be able to see right past exactly and see what you are. So I'm not exactly sure what they're going to use and how that is going to work, but seeing as it is part of the name of the game, I have an idea that is going to be a pretty big part of it. Moving on to just like the combat mechanics, it is extremely Souls-like. A lot of the same systems that you'll see across Bloodborne and Elden Ring and Dark Souls, you will see in this game. There are, dodging, there's parrying, there's light and heavy attacks. They have something in this game called Fable Arts, And depending on what blade and handle you have equipped, you're able to actually mix these. You get certain abilities that you are able to charge up as you fight. So through combat, you'll get these blue bars in your upper left corner, and as those fill up, this gives you the ability to use Fable Arts. There's also items that will let you charge up that bar faster, but basically these Fable Arts are generally extremely heavy hitting attacks or things like parries, and you can use them as you want depending on your playstyle, basically. The rapier, for example, has a parry, and if you land that parry, it does a large AoE damage. Like I said earlier, you'll see a lot of the similar weapon types that you see across all these games. There's blades, there are rapiers, there are blunt weapons, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more than that. One of the really cool things that they have in this game is a weapon assembly system. And you're able to disassemble your weapons and put them together depending on what you're exactly going for. This is going to change things like the weight, the damage, the abilities on those blades, those Fable Arts, and it's really, really cool. You are always able to change these. It doesn't like destroy the weapon. You just basically have your blades and you have your handles, and you're able to combine those however you would like. You can do this at the Stargazer, which the Stargazer is basically a bonfire system. You're going to use those to save, you're going to use those to teleport, and they will be resetting all of the mobs in the world when you use them. In regards to leveling, you will level at the first Stargazer, but once you meet Sophia, she will be the main person that you talk to in regards to leveling. Just like in all the other games, you have a soul system where as you kill mobs and kill enemies or find items, you rack up these ergo, and that's basically the soul currency for this game, and you use that to level up, and you also use it to purchase items from merchants. There are merchants across the game. There's a lot of different places that I found. There's one unique guy that seems to be probably the merchant you're going to see in a lot of the game, and there's also a couple other kind of like smaller, I'm not sure if it's a side character, for example, but they sell a much smaller selection of items. But the weapon system is extremely exciting for me because you were able to change these blades and handles, and that impacted which Fable Art you added. So you could have a extremely heavy weapon, but have that rapier handle that gives you a full parry. And while you are able to do full guards in this game, which basically prevent you from taking damage as long as you have the correct amount of stamina, this full guard will both guard you as well as do damage to the enemy. It also costs only 1 bar of that Fable, and so that is significantly less than some of the 2 or 3 bar costs. Another really cool thing about Pinocchio being a puppet is that you will have these things called Legion Arms. Legion Arms are interchangeable, kind of like, I would call them just extra tools that you're able to use. They will impact how you play the game. One of them just punched really freaking hard, like you were one-shotting generic mobs, nothing crazy, but did a lot of damage, while another one was a rope shot, similar to Scorpions, that would grab enemies and pull them towards you, and they would also face them backwards. So in this game there is that, you know, if you're able to sneak up on an enemy, you'll do a one-shot depending on what enemy it is. And so by using this cable arm, you're able to bring them to you and use that backstab animation. So pretty cool concept. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that you're able to mess around with. They are changeable at the Stargazer, whereas your weapons are changeable anywhere. So you don't have to go to a Stargazer to change your weapons, but if you want to change your arm out, you are going to reset everything. You'll see a wide range of items in the demo. There are things from thrown items that do elemental damage to things that stack up your Fable bar, so you're able to use those Fable Arts a little bit more. One of the key features in this game is the weapon durability, and your weapons are all able to be repaired by an item that you have on your belt. It's kind of a pain because it does take time, so if you're blocking very heavily, this is going to impact the durability of your weapon, and you're going to have to take time in that fight to repair your weapon. While it is not the most annoying thing in the world, I'm assuming that as we find more intense bosses later on in the game, you're probably not going to be able to really find time to repair. One of the nice things is that you are able to have 2 weapons equipped. However, that is going to impact your weight. So if you are trying to stay lightweight, you know, make it easier to dodge, you're not going to want to have 2 weapons equipped probably. However, if you're going a more tankier build with lots of vitality, you'll probably just end up having 2 weapons. So it's not that big of a deal. However, it does really impact your boss fighting, but I'm sure most of you guys already understand that concept. The weight system is introduced in this game just like all the other ones. You know, the heavier equipment you have, the slower you're going to be able to roll and dodge and move. So depending on the bosses that you're fighting, probably going to have a bad time. It does look like there are going to be side quests as you go along with the main story, so you can look out for those. I found one just randomly talking to an AI that was talking through the walls. It's really interesting. You can actually kind of like stand close to buildings that all of these people are basically locked in and hear a lot of people talking. It was just a nice little world feature, basically. In regards to the boss fights in the demo, there wasn't anything too crazy. I will say that the last boss was definitely the most unique of the three. However, they were very forgiving, I have to say, in comparison to a lot of bosses. You're generally able to get up to heal, so you don't have to worry too much if you're absolutely getting obliterated like I was. You're still given a lot of leeway in the demo, at least. One of the nice little things that I think they did add to make the game a little bit less stressful was there is a, quote-unquote Estus Flask system. Basically, you're going to be able to heal with this potion. And one of the nice things is that when you run out of potions, you are able to actually regenerate a pot if you are dealing damage to an enemy. So I feel like that's going to probably get a lot of flack because some people kind of just want it to be that difficult. But at the same time, I think for people that are wanting to get into the genre, having that ability to farm up an extra potion is kind of a really big deal. Especially when you're in boss fights, it's gonna kind of really force you to maybe pot up a little bit early so you're able to start farming that next potion up. I think it's a really nice little just helpful piece for more casual players. There's also a pretty good amount of space in between the two stargazers, or bonfires if you'd like to call them. So there's some areas where you'll have to go through a couple elite mobs without being able to heal. And for a lot of people, that's going to be pretty difficult. So having that ability to farm up a potion while you are fighting definitely saves you a lot of time and a lot of resets. Overall, guys, I think that the game ran extremely well. I am extremely excited for this. I feel like people that enjoy Souls-like games are going to have a really good time. I feel like it's closer to Bloodborne than anything, so if you really enjoyed Bloodborne, I think this might be a really fantastic game to look forward to. Like I said, definitely go download the demo. It's still available, and there is a lot of hours for you to play if you're really interested in seeing what the world has to offer to you. So if you go straight through and you do all the boss fights and you're just absolutely cracked at these games, you'll probably get a couple hours in, but if you're really going around and just exploring the world, getting all the random items that are all over the place, there are a lot of hours of gameplay. So definitely looking forward to it. Let me know down below if you guys had a grand old time with the bosses like I did. And as always, I hope to see you on the next one.